Karen calls 911 'cause she can't use my land as a public road anymore. So I recently had to deal with a situation that involved my property, an HOA, and some really entitled neighbors who thought they could use my land as a shortcut. Let me start from the beginning. I moved into my house a little over a year ago. It's a great property, quiet, secluded, with a nice stretch of land that borders a community with an HOA. When I bought it, I didn't think I'd have any issues, but that was before I realized just how entitled some of the people in that HOA can be. You see, my property has a narrow strip of land that leads into one of the streets of the HOA neighborhood. It's not paved, but it's clear enough to look like a road. In fact, it's so clear that people started using it as a shortcut. At first, I thought it was just a leftover from the previous owners. Maybe they used it for something, or perhaps it was an old access point. But then things got weird. I started seeing tire tracks on it, and before I knew it, I woke up one weekend to see a bunch of cars driving through it, cutting across my property to get into the neighborhood. I figured it was just a one-off, but it kept happening. It wasn't just one or two cars either. It became a regular thing. Every few days, I'd see cars turning onto my property and driving through it like it was a public road. Now I'm not a confrontational person, but this started to really bug me. It's not just the fact that they were trespassing, but the way they acted like it was no big deal. I'd stand outside and wave at them, trying to let them know this wasn't a public road, but most of the drivers just ignored me or gave me a look like, "What's the big deal?" At first, I didn't do much. I just figured it was a one-time thing and I'd get used to it. But then one morning, I came home from work to see a car turning too wide onto the strip, and when it did, the tires spun out, tearing up a good chunk of my yard. That was the last straw for me. I called up the HOA, explained the situation, and asked if they could do something about it. You'd think they'd want to keep things under control, right? Well, apparently not. They told me since the strip of land wasn't part of their jurisdiction, they couldn't do anything about it. That was when I knew I'd have to take matters into my own hands. I started planning for a fence. I wasn't going to sit around and wait for someone else to fix this. I went ahead and hired a contractor to put up a sturdy gate with a fence around the property. I also put up "No trespassing" signs along the strip. I didn't want anyone claiming ignorance if they got caught on my property. From my online research, I'd read that HOA boards often ignore situations like these, especially when they aren't directly involved in the property management. Many homeowners in similar situations often find themselves stuck when dealing with an HOA that doesn't act or enforce its own rules, and that seemed to be the case here. But that's when things got interesting. Less than a week after the fence went up, I came home one Saturday to see a car parked by the gate, honking its horn. And who do I see standing outside the car? The most entitled woman I've ever had the misfortune of dealing with. Let's call her Karen. Karen was blaring her horn, waiting for me to come out and open the gate. I could tell she was angry before she even said a word. As soon as I stepped outside, she got out of her car and marched right toward me. I had no idea who she was at first, but she didn't waste any time letting me know she was clearly not happy with me taking control of the situation. Based on my research about HOAs and the entitlement some members feel, I wasn't too shocked to find out she was part of the HOA board. I'd heard plenty of stories about HOA members abusing their power, thinking they could enforce rules on private property that don't belong to them. It seemed like Karen might be one of those people who felt entitled to do whatever she wanted on land that wasn't even hers. She didn't waste any time. "Are you the one that put up this gate? You need to open it now, I'm already late," she said with this look of complete disdain on her face. I was taken aback at first, unsure of how to respond to someone so blatantly rude. But then I remembered what I had read about HOA disputes. People like Karen will often feel entitled to whatever they want because they're used to being in control. It's not uncommon for homeowners in HOA communities to experience problems with neighbors trying to take advantage of their property rights, especially when there's no clear enforcement of boundaries. At that moment, I realized I had to be firm with her, or else this would keep happening. So there I was, standing in front of this woman who clearly wasn't used to being told no. I wasn't going to back down. I calmly told her, "This is my property, and I don't want anyone driving through it. You're trespassing." Of course, she didn't take that well. Her face turned red with anger as she shot back, "You can't block this road. I'm on the HOA board, and we've been using this access point for years. You have no right to stop us. I'll have you know, the HOA will hear about this, and you'll regret it." I tried to remain calm. I'd done my research on HOA rules, and it was clear to me that even though Karen was part of the board, she had no right to tell me what to do with my property. I explained to her that the strip of land wasn't a public road, it was part of my property,